Matrix multiplication. We will learn about multiplication of two 3 by 3 matrix. This means we will multiply two matrix of order 3 by 3. Matrix is having 3 rows and 3 columns. Definition of matrix multiplication. You have to copy this in your notebook. If uppercase A is equal to matrix A I J is an m by n matrix and matrix B is equal to lowercase bij is an n by p matrix, then the product AB is an m by p matrix given by AB is equal to Cij, where Cij is equal to AI1 times B1j plus AI2, B2j plus AI3, B3j plus plus AIN PNJ. So this is a definition of matrix multiplication, but it will be more clear to you when I will be explaining the examples to you. Make sure to copy this definition in your notes. Now these are the steps for multiplying two matrices. Okay, so number one step is perform compatibility check. So what you have to do is you have to perform a compatibility check. Where what is compatibility check? So this is a compatibility check. You will ask this question from yourself: is number of columns of first matrix is equal to number of rows of second matrix? So this is a question you will ask each and every time. Is number of columns, this is what columns of first matrix, whichever is the first matrix, number of columns of first matrix should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. If the answer is yes, then you proceed, or you will write it is not possible. Okay, so let's take an example over here. If I have a matrix over here, this is 3 2 5 6 1 0, and another matrix is this 5 2 negative 1 6 7 8 2 4 0. Now the question comes is, can you multiply these two matrices? So you need to do the compatibility check first. Is the number of columns of first matrix, how many columns are here? 1, this is your 2, this is your 3. How many columns you are having? You are having 3 columns. How many? 3 columns. Now how many, it says is equal to number of rows of second matrix. So I have one row over here, then I have second row over here, and I have third row over here. So I have 3 rows. So now compatibility check says, is number of columns of first matrix, that is 3, is equal to number of rows of second matrix, that is 3. If yes, yes, then proceed, otherwise write not possible. So I'll write proceed to the next step. Next step says draw arrows. I will be explaining to you in the next upcoming problems over there. Then multiply first row by first column. So I will take my first row over here, this is my first row, and this is my first column over here. I will multiply by this one over here. Let me change the color. This is my first column over here. Then it says multiply first row by second column. So this is my first row over here. I will multiply by what? Second column. Then it says if there is no third column in the second matrix, go to the second row. No, I do have third column. So our next step will be multiply first row by what? Third column. So I multiply this again by this over here. So similarly, I will proceed over here. But it will be more clear to you from the next upcoming examples. But make sure to copy all of these notes. This means these steps on a sheet of paper and keep it on side by side. So when you are working on your multiplication of matrix, you can proceed with, look at the steps, and you can proceed with the steps. Now examples. So now let's see over here, there are some questions over here. So let's see what the questions are asking, and then we will go from there. Question says, can we multiply a and b? So let's look at a and b. Now our formula was saying compatibility check number of columns of first matrix. Number of columns of first matrix should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. So how many columns are here? 1, 2, and 3. All right, 3 over here. Now how many rows are here? 1, 2, and 3. Oh yes, since the row number of columns is equal to number of rows, yes, we can multiply. Look over here, the answer says yes. And it says it is a 2 by 3 multiplied by 3 by 2. The number of columns in the first matrix, that's your 3, matches with the number of rows in the second one over here. Yes, we can multiply this. Okay, now let's look at the second one. Can we do the second one over here? Now in this one over here, again my formula is what? Number of columns. How many columns are here? 1 and 2 is equal to number of rows of the second matrix. 1, 2 and 3. Do you think they match? No. So this means when you are multiplying C with D, it is what? It is not possible. Because compatibility does not match. Okay, there is no compatibility over there, or these matrices are not defined. Please copy this in your note. Let's look at another example. This says, can we multiply D with A? I will give you a chance to do this on your own. Okay, so now let's do the compatibility check. Compatibility check says number of columns of first matrix. It should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. Now do keep in mind it says D times A. So D is the first matrix, A is the second matrix. How many columns are here? Yes, you are right. 1, 2 and 3. When I say columns, I mean this vertical arrangement of elements 1, 2 and 3. So number of columns is 3. Now number of rows of A. So 1 and 2. Okay, now this means it is a compatibility issue over here. Matrix is not defined. Or we can say number of columns of first matrix is not equal to number of rows of second matrix. So no, we cannot multiply D with A. Okay, now let's look at this example over here. Question says we have to find A times B. Wherever you see this dot, it means it's a times over here. Okay, so we have to do A times B. Step number one is what? Step number one is you have to do the compatibility check. So what is this compatibility check? It says number of columns of first matrix. So I'll write over here number of columns of first matrix. This is very important. Okay, should be equal to what? Number of rows of second matrix. So let's see how many columns are in first matrix. So this is the first matrix. How many columns are here? 1 and 2. 2 columns are here. How many rows are in the second matrix? 1 and 2. So I have 2 rows over here. So this means yes, we can proceed to the next step. Now the next step is I will be reading steps from this slide over here. Okay, this slide over here which I told you earlier to copy somewhere. Okay, now what it says, step number 2 says draw arrows. So we will draw arrows. Okay, let's proceed. Now do keep in mind I will be reading the steps from the page which I shown you earlier. So I'm referring to that. So you need to keep that on your side so it will be easy for you. Now step number 2 from those lists says draw arrows. Okay, so let me erase this part over here and then we go from there. Okay, so what is it? Draw arrows. So I will be drawing an arrow over here. This means I'm taking first column from first row from here and I'm taking first column from here. So multiply 7 with 3. What is 7 times 3? It is your 21. Check. Put the plus sign on your own, then take your 0 and multiply by this number. It will give you 0. Check. So we have done. Now your next step says step number 4, multiply first row by second column. So this is my first row over here. What is this? This is my first row, but my second column is this. So I will take 7 times 4. It will give me 28. Check. Put the plus sign on your own and then take your second number 0. Multiply by 7 gives you 0. Check. Then your step number 5, it says on those steps, if there is no third column in second matrix, then go to the second row. But we do have third column. So what you do is again you take this, draw an arrow and draw one arrow over here. So 7 times 5 is 35. Check. Put the plus sign on your own. 0 times 2 is 0. I got this. Check. Now next step says step number 6. Look at the chart. Multiply second row by first column. So I'm changing the color over here. Multiply second row. This is my second row over here. What? 3 comma 4. Multiply by this. How I multiply? 3 times 3 gives me 9 plus sign. 4 times negative 1 gives me negative 4. So 3 times 3 gives me 9 plus 4 times negative 1 gives me negative 4. Then afterwards what you do is You again take the same call row and multiply with this column over here. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12, which you can see over here, check, plus sign. 4 times 7 is 28. Do you see one more column over here? Yes. So 3 times 5 is 15, check. 4 times 2 is 8, check. So I just did this step over here. What I have done, I just told you verbally. Once you have reached to this step over here, then simply you have to add or subtract whatever is this, and that's your answer over here. Now make sure you are writing the order of the matrix. There are 2 rows and what? How many columns? There are 3 columns. This is the answer for this problem. I know it is a bit confusing, but if you will follow the pattern, it will be a lot more easier for you. Okay, so I will again repeat to you what I have done in this problem. I will change the color. First of all, I have taken my first row over here and multiply this, and multiply this. So again, 7 times 3, 21 plus 0 times negative 1, 0. 7 times 4, 28 plus 0 times 7, this is over here. 7 times 5 is 35, which you can see over here, plus sign. 0 times 5 is 0. Second, what I did is, once I have completed with the first row, I went to the second row. Now second row I took 3 and 4. So first element with first element. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 1 is negative 4. So I got 9 plus negative. Let me draw an arrow over here, circle over here. Again I will take this with the second one over here. Same thing. 3 times 4 plus 4 times 7, and then I take the third one and done. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just doing row 1 multiply by what? Column 1. Okay. Alright. Then what I'm doing is row 2 again it's row 1 column 2. Row 1 column 3. Now it is your row 2 column 1, row 2 column 2, row 2 column 3, and done. This is something which I'm doing over here. Go ahead and copy the solution in your note. Now one more example is over here for you. First of all, there is a typing error, so do not worry about this. This is just a comma over here. Find the product AB using A is equal to this and B is equal to this. First of all, what you will do is you will do the compatibility check over here. So compatibility check, number of columns of first matrix. How many columns are here? 1 and 2. So there are 2 columns. Should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. How many rows are here? 2. So this means the two matrices are defined, or their operation will be defined, so thus we can proceed from there. So I just wrote over here, first note the product is defined. How I came to define? Number of columns of first matrix is 2, number of rows of second matrix is 2. It is defined. Number of columns of A is equal to the number of rows of B. This is very important. The product has dimension 3 by 2. So after this, let's move to the next slide over here. So I have A times B. I wrote it like this over here. Now what I told you, you multiply each and every row by what? Each and every column. So negative 1 times 3 will give, so look, I wrote over here, negative 1 times 3, plus sign on your own, and then again negative 1 with this 2. So negative 1 times 2 plus 3 times 1, I just did for you. Then the second step is over here. Second step is you will take these two, 4 times negative 2, multiply with these two over here. 4 times negative 3 plus negative 2 times negative 4. And again you take this one, multiply with this one over here. What I will do is I will erase all of this so you can just check on your own what's going on. So I multiply my first row over here with this one and then this one. Negative 1 times negative 3 plus 3 times negative 4. You see? Then I have first row with the second column. Negative 1 times 2 gave me this plus sign. 3 times 1 gave me this one. Similarly, I will do for what? Second row over here. And similarly, I will do for third row, and I simplified. I got my answer. How many rows are here? 3. How many columns are here? 2. Order of this matrix is what? 2 by 2. 3 by 2. Now, if A is a matrix of 3 by 3 order, B is a matrix of 3 by 3 order, find A times B. So first of all, when I do A times B, what is my step number 1? Do the compatibility check. So I'll write it over here. Number of columns of first matrix should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. So I'll write it over here of second matrix, so it will be easy for you. So how many columns are in first matrix? 1, 2 and 3. How many rows are there? 3. So this means what? It is defined, or this operation is possible. So let's proceed to the next step. Okay. What you will do is you will take this first row over here and multiply with this, and then you multiply with this and multiply with this. So I will take 3. Okay, what is 3 times 2? 6. I'll write it over here. Let me make it easy for you. Okay. Alright, so 3 times 2 is what? 6. Put the plus sign on your own as I told you. Take your second number. 4 times 0 is 0. Plus take the third number. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. Now, do you see any column over here? Yes, there is one more column over here. So let's go to the second column. You will take the same, multiply with this. What is 3 times 2? 6. Plus sign on your own. 4 times 7 is 28. Plus sign on your own. 2 times 3 is what? 6. Do you see any column left? Yes, there is one more column is left over here. 3 times 4 is what? 12. Plus 4 times 5 is what? 20. Plus 2 times 5 is what? 10. So we are done with the first row. Check. Do we have any other row left? Yes, we do have second row also. So second row is what? This one is the second row. Now, just for the comfort, what I will do is I will erase all of this over here. So it will be a lot more easier for you. Now second row is this one over here. Okay. So second row, and I will take this one. Then I take second column and third column. 5 times 2 is what? 10. Plus 8 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 times 3 is 6. Now, is there any other column? Yes, let's go to this column. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 2 times 3 is 6. Let's go to the third one over here. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus 8 times 5 is 40. Plus 2 times 5 is 10. So we are done with the second row also. Is there anything left? Yes. There is a third row also left over here. So I will erase all of them over here. Now I will take the third one. So I will change the color over here. So this is my third row over here, but I will multiply with first column, then multiply by second column, and then I multiply by third column. Let's go with first one. 9 times 2 is what? 18. Plus 3 times 0 is what? 0. Plus 5 times 3 is what? 15. Okay, so now after this we can see there is one more column over here. Let's draw a circle. 9 times 2 is 18. Plus 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 5 times 3 is 15. Do we have anything left? Yes, we have this one left over here. So 9 times 4 is what? 36. Plus 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 5 is what? 25. So I was able to do all three of them. Now after this it is very easy for me, because what I have to do is I have to just add and subtract. That's the only thing I have to do. So let's proceed. So 6 plus this will give me what? 12. 8, this will give me 16. This will give me what? 33. This will give me what? 34, 40. And this is your 16, 62, 72. And this one is 36, 44, 54. You can use calculator also for this. 30, 42. And this is my 50, 70. And this is my 40, 76. Now once I got all of this, I will write my order of the matrix. I have 3 rows and 3 columns. Remember this first letter for row and second letter is for column when you write the order. Okay, so this is your answer for this problem over here. Make sure to copy everything in your notes. Let's look at this question. Find C times D if C is this and D is this. So let's start multiplying. So C times D. Stop. Do not do anything like this, because step number 1 says do the compatibility check. Compatibility check says number of columns in first matrix should be equal to number of rows in second matrix. This is very important. So do not rush. Okay. How many columns are here? 1, 2. How many rows are here? 1, 2, and 3. So this is what this is not defined. So this means matrix multiplication is not possible. Write it over here, not possible. So sometimes this type of situation happens. Teacher wants to confuse you. He or she will give you these types of problems over there. Now let's look at this problem. Find m times n if m is equal to. Tell me whether we can multiply this, yes or no. No, you are wrong. We can multiply these two. How? Let's do the perform compatibility test. Number of columns of first matrix should be equal to number of rows of second matrix. So how many columns are here? 1 and 2. How many rows are here? 1 and 2. So you see this? Okay, so yes, we can do it. Okay, yes, we can do this one. So always remember, do not just look and come to the conclusion. Write it and then check whether it is compatible or not. Then only you proceed. So let's proceed over there. Let's multiply this. How we multiply this? You take your first row, multiply with all the columns. Okay, so 4 times 6 gives me 24. Put the plus sign on your own. Second element is 6. 6 times 5 will give you 30. So we are done with this check. Let's go to the next one. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus sign. 6 times 8 is 48. I'm done with this check. Third one. Remember first element with first element. Second element with second element. 4 times 5 gives me 20. Plus 6 times 7 gives me what? 42. So I'm done with this one. So let me erase this. Okay, and now we will go to what? Now we will go to second row. So this is my second row over here. Now multiply with this. So 3 times 6 gives me 18 plus 2 times 5 gives me 10. So this is your check. Then you are having 3 times. Now we'll go to the second column over here. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 times 8 16. Put the check mark over here. Anything left? Yes, there is one more column left over here. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2 times 7 is 14. So I'm doing what? I'm taking the first element, multiplying with the first element, second element, multiplying the second element, put the plus sign. After this, I just have to simplify this so I can get my answer. So this is my 30 plus 24 gives me 54. This gives me 56. This gives me 62. This gives me 28. This gives me 12, no, 22, and this gives me 29. Now, what is the order of the matrix? It should be row by column. Okay, so how many rows? 2 rows. And how many columns? 3 columns. Okay, write it down somewhere. How we find the order of the matrix? Order is yours row by column. So this is the answer for this problem over here. Let's look at this problem over here. Now there are 4 questions inbuilt in one problem, and this is yours x times x. Okay, now it says x times y, this says y times z, x times z, x times x. So x times y means you are multiplying x with y. So let's try to do number 1 over here. X times y. First of all, you will do the compatibility check. So number of rows, number of columns in first matrix. How many columns are over here? 1 and 2. Are they equal to number of rows of second matrix? 1, 2 and 3. Oops. Compatibility check did not work well. You can write over here not defined. So this means you cannot multiply x with y. Not possible. That was easy for us. So now let's go to the second one. Y times z. Before doing anything, perform the compatibility check. That is very important. So y times z is equal to. number of columns in first matrix, those are 2 over here, as you can see, 1, and this is your 2. Okay, what about number of rows in second matrix Z? Oh, 1 and 2. Oh yes, this is what this is defined, so I can multiply this. Now I'm writing in a short form over here, number of columns and number of rows over here. Due to I don't have enough space, that's why I'm just trying to save space for everything. Okay, this is the main purpose I'm doing like this, but you should write since you have lots of space on your paper. So let's go ahead and multiply a y with z. Okay, what I told you, you multiply row with columns. Okay, so let's proceed over here. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. Put the plus sign on your own. Negative 2 times 8 gives me what? Negative 16. So I will erase this, and instead of this I'll just write over here minus 16. Then I will do again, put a check mark over here, check. Now I will take this column. So first row, second column. 3 times negative 2 gives me what? Negative 6. And negative this gives me what? Negative 10 minus 10. Check. Let's go to the next one. 3 times negative 1 gives me what? Negative 3. Plus sign on our own. But in, okay, let me write it. So negative 2 times this gives me what? Negative 6. So I'm done with this first row over here. Let me erase this, and I'm proceeding to what? I'm going to the next row over here. So I'll multiply this with all the columns over here. Negative 7 times 4 gives me what? Negative 28. Plus sign on your own. 5 times 8 gives you 40. Then I'll check. We are going to the next one. Negative 7 times negative 2 gives me what? Positive 14. Plus sign. 5 times 5 gives me 25. Check. We are done with this. Let's go to the next one. Negative 7 times negative 1 gives me positive 7 plus 15. Check. We are done. Anything left? Yes, I'm left with third row. So I need to erase this, and let's proceed to the third row over here. Remember, row times column. So this is my third row over here, first column. 19 times 4. So what is 19 times 4 over here? 19 times 2 is 38, 38, 76. So it should be a 76. Put the plus sign. 7 times 8 is what? 56. And this will give me what? Negative 38. And this gives me what? 35. Look, see, I'm putting the plus sign on my own. So I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Check, check. Now I'm the third one. 19 times negative 1 gives me negative 19. Plus sign. This gives me what? 21. And I'm done. After this, what I have to do is I just have to simplify, and I will get my answer. So this will give me negative 4. You can use a calculator for this. Negative 16. And this will give me negative. And this gives me what? 12 over here. This gives me 39. And this is yours 22, and this is yours 76, 82, 82, and then you are having 50. It should be yours 130. Okay, then gives you negative 3, and then it gives you 2. And the order of this matrix is 3 by 3 because I have 3 rows and 3 columns. I got the answer for this problem. I think by now it should be clear. So now let's look at another problem over here. It says x times z. Now, so this is your x times z. So x times z, what I will do is, first of all, I will do the compatibility check. How many columns are in first matrix? 2. How many rows are in z? This is how I do it. So how many rows? I will write over here columns. Okay. Let me erase this negative sign. How many rows are in this? Rows are 2. So this means what? It passes the compatibility check, and this means what? We can multiply these two matrices. Okay, so that I will leave on you. You can multiply and check on your own. Let's go to the last one where it says x times x. X times x means you are multiplying x twice. So if I will do it, looks like this: 4, negative 5, 2, 4, and another one is what? Multiply by what? 4, negative 5, 2, and 4. Now don't just try to square or something, okay? You still will use the same process. Same process means we can see, I can clearly see number of columns are 2, number of rows are 2 is kind of compatible. Okay, so let's go ahead. Take your first row, multiply with the first column. 4 times 4 is 16. Put the plus sign. Negative 5 times this will be what? Negative 10. And you take this one, multiply with the check. 4 times negative 5 is what? Negative 20. Plus sign, negative 5, this gives you what? Negative 20. Check. After this, I'm using a different color over here just to differentiate. I'm using this, and I go with this column over here. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus sign, 4 times 12. Okay, so this is your check. I'm done. I'm on the second one over here. It's kind of a messed up over here. This is your negative 10 plus 16. But if you are understanding by now, you should know what is going on over here. 6, this is your 20. And this is your negative 40. Don't make any mistake. 6, and this is your 2 by 2. That's the answer for this problem over here. This is how you multiply two matrices.